What is going on, true believers? Happy Monday. I hope you're doing well. The market's down about $50 billion right now. It was down about $100 billion at one point, clawed back some of that. The U.S. market wakes up, and we're at Jane Street o'clock right now, where this is when the market starts to really dump. This is where it starts to really settle in. This is where it gets ugly. And speaking of ugly, let's talk about Donald Trump. There's a lot going on here today. I think that Donald Trump he's the what? Look, this is the man that holds the key to whether this market is going to pump or whether it's not going to pump. That's it. There's nobody else. Donald Trump is the man in charge of cryptocurrency in 2026. So what he does predicates what happens in the market next. There's a lot of information to unpack. We're gonna go over that. We got a whole bunch more to go over. So make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Make sure you share this with as many people as possible, and let's go.
It's your boy Bleeves. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket, that crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
All right, guys, on the serious tip, and I'm just being for real with you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I want to show you something. In case you are or happen to be checking me out and you are a fan of the Chicago Bears, I am Believe's official for the Chicago Bears. I want to thank all of you because over the last couple days, it's been absolutely crazy. Starting about a week ago, we got 14,000 views on my Tremaine Edmonds video. Then we got 20,000 views almost on Tyson Bagent video. Over the weekend, really, I'm humbled by this attention, by the way. We got 65,000 views on our Dome Stadium conversation, and we got 40,000 views already on the video that we did yesterday talking about what's going on with the Chicago Bears. So if you are a fan of the Chicago Bears, by all means, please subscribe, and thank you so much for the support. It's been unreal for the last couple of days. So I want to thank you guys. Now I want to get back into crypto and let's talk about what's going on. So we're going to talk about two of these articles. The first thing is this. Donald Trump is the guy that's going to save crypto. There is nobody else. Just for full clarity, if the market fails, it will be because of Donald Trump. If the market succeeds, it will be because of Donald Trump. No matter what, Donald Trump is the reason that something good and or bad will happen to cryptocurrency. Now, what is weighing down on the market right now? Donald Trump invading Iran and launching missile strikes on the Iranian government. That's what's weighing on the markets right now. Also, the lack of a Clarity Act that Donald Trump is now forcing banks to sit down for and crypto bros to sit down for as they discuss and take charge of what's going to happen next. And it's to the point right now that everybody seems to think that there will be a compromise on the Clarity Act at any moment, hopefully by the end of this month, meaning that they are looking this week to reach a compromise between banks and crypto. And you might be asking yourself, why do banks even matter at this point, since the Genius Act already established what we're talking about in in stablecoin yields? Why would they be doing it with the Clarity Act and not the Genius Act? Well, this is the only place. This is basically banks filibustering against losing money to crypto. And by the way, I think this is really more a testament that the banks are not ready right now to enter into the crypto market. Not a large amount of, and by the way, JP Morgan already in, Chase already in, Capital One getting in. We're seeing it more and more every day. So but after that, there's a lot of banks. Some are very crypto savvy, some are not even close to crypto savvy, and those that are not even close to crypto savvy, those that don't have a blockchain, those have not set up a profile, they're going to lose money because they're going to be behind the curve. This is a very real thing for the banks, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that you shore up and stop progress because some other people have been obstinate and don't do the right things to make sure that they have whatever's needed. Okay, so in watching over this, first of all, Trump advisor says regulatory clarity will unlock trillions of dollars in money coming into cryptocurrency. But this right here is where it gets real. The New York Times is reporting how crypto's lobbying muscle may save a big bill. And I want you guys to understand one thing. Right now, the banks are fighting back. However, crypto now it's one of the biggest political action committees in all of Washington right now. And the crypto legislators are throwing money where the banks used to throw money. So anybody who is a senator or congressman who has been anti-crypto is starting to get that crypto donation. And guess what? Now they're going to become pro-crypto. Because guess what? The reason that these decisions are made, the reason that they do these things are because of political donations to their causes. So the people who donate are the ones who get their voices heard. I'm sorry, it works that way. I don't make the rules, I just point them out. So I think that crypto is going to throw a lot of money at some of these candidates, and you're going to see some surprising changes of opinion about what should happen next in cryptocurrency. I think that's what you're going to see. And it's the will of the people at this point. Blockchain is the future. Now, let's move on here and let's talk about a few things that have gone on right now. Yesterday, we had an armed Trump supporter trying to go to Mar-a-Lago, and he had grown increasingly obsessed with the Epstein files and was also a vocal Trump supporter. And he just wanted to know, I guess, why they're hiding something in those files. And by the way, I don't know that they're hiding anything other than some redacted names. So, whatever's going on with this guy, he was shot and killed by the Secret Service, but he did attempt to try to get the Epstein files at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know. Next thing you know, you're going to tell me there's a basement at Common Ping Pong and Pizza. You know what I mean? And there wasn't, by the way. Real weird. So then Trump puts the Supreme Court, and he did not capitalize it because he's a child, okay, of the United States, accidentally and unwittingly gave me, as President of the United States, far more powers and strength than I had previous to their ridiculous, dumb, and very internationally divisive ruling. For one thing, I can use licenses to do absolutely terrible things to foreign countries, especially those countries that have been ripping us off for many decades, but incomprehensibly, according to the ruling, can't charge them a license fee, but all licenses charge fees. Why can't the United States do so? They can. This is insane. This is from the mind of an insane person, okay? This is from the mind of an insane person. Why can't the United States do so? Well, the United States can do so. It's the job of Congress to do so. And the fact that you're trying to sidestep Congress is why the Supreme Court is involved. And the wildness of the people who don't understand that, and the people who are defending this right now, you're in a cult. This is crazy. Okay. However, the opinion doesn't explain that, but I know the answer. The court has also approved all other tariffs, of which there are many, and they can all be used in a much more powerful and obnoxious way with legal certainty than the tariffs as initially used. Our incompetent Supreme Court did a great job for the wrong people. By the way, you want to know why the markets are dumping? Here he is right here saying it out loud. The next thing you know, they will rule in favor of China and others who are making an absolute fortune on birthright citizenship by saving the 14th Amendment was not written to take care of the babies of slaves, which it was, as proven by the exact timing of its construction, filing, and ratification, which perfectly coincides with the end of the Civil War. How much better can you do than that? But this Supreme Court will find a way to come to the wrong conclusion, one that will again make China and various other nations happy and rich. Oh my God. Let our Supreme Court keep making decisions that are so bad and deleterious to the future of our nation. This is hilarious. This is guys, this is your boy. This is your boy. Melting down real time, turning birthright citizenship into a China thing. I'm not making that up. You're witnessing the separation from reality real time. And by the way, this is the person who thinks that they can use their hot button whistles and that you're not smart enough to understand that what he's doing is just using his hot buttons, the things that he thinks are going to make you go, I don't like that, in your biggest Corky from Life Goes On voice in your brain, and that you won't even stop and worry about the facts. And you're too smart for that, aren't you? You're way too smart. You would never do that because you're super, super smart, right? You would never fall for China birthright citizenship. I thought this was, I thought that it's not the Chinese, right? We're not throwing out the Chinese. Do you see it yet? Do you? And by the way, if your first response is, no, it's actually China. China's actually the problem. You should be wearing a robe, by the way. And you should be sitting on a compound in Waco with your guy, Donald Trump. All right, so, but by the way, at the end of this, after I get done dunking on Donald Trump over this ridiculous stuff right here, I still support tariffs. It's the job of Congress to do it, but I still support tariffs. And I think that Donald Trump was right in imposing tariffs on other countries, but he should have done it the way Congress and the way the Constitution says it should be done, through Congress. Duh. All right, moving on here. Bitcoin price. This from Barron's News right here. We're not going to have that right there. But Bitcoin price fell below 65,000 while the Trump tariff turmoil is crushing crypto. And that's what's happening right now. Really, Donald Trump, in turn, Trump will now tap Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Act for his new tariffs. However, that only allows for trade duties of 150 days unless Congress extends it. The role of Congress. It's very simple. This leaves a substantial amount of uncertainty. Section 122 was designed as a temporary tool to address emergency balance of payment issues and would likely face further legal challenges if rolled over repeatedly. So again, it's the job of Congress to do this. So Congress needs to do their job. So continued market uncertainty has weighed on digital asset prices so far this year. Since the start of 2026, Bitcoin has tumbled 25%. But not only has that happened, Trump is now targeting or considering targeted strikes against Iran, followed by a larger attack. So what we're now witnessing is Mr. I'm so full of peace, I piece my pants every day, that he wants to attack Iran. Again, I believe that it would be appropriate because citizens of Iran are being killed by their government. I believe this is an appropriate response. Okay, so I am in support of Donald Trump striking Iran, but that's why the markets are down, because Donald Trump could be striking Iran. And by the way, I think it should be noted, as you guys know, things are impossible right now. Things that are not even close to possible. And let me explain what I mean. Not long ago, he told me, and he told you, and you told me, and I told you no, but you told me yes, and he told me yes, that he had single-handedly fixed Iran's nuclear capabilities and that Iran no longer has nuclear capabilities because of all of the stuff that Donald Trump did to Iran when he got rid of the non-proliferation treaty, when he killed the deal over there for Iran, that fixed everything and that they're not going to have nukes. Well, the reason that he wants to strike right now is because within a week, they're going to have nukes. When is the bridge too far? When is it too far? So, and by the way, that shouldn't be a reason. The reason should be their attack on the citizens. Okay? But it is very hilarious to me that the reason that we're giving right now is because, well, in a couple days, you're going to have nuclear capabilities. You said they couldn't have it because of what you've done so far. I don't make this up, by the way, just pointing it out. So Now, Thursday, Iran and the United States are meeting to try to work out a compromise, okay? The only compromise, I believe at this point, is for the government to step down. So there's probably going to be a strike of some sort. And, by the way, despite the fact that they're meeting on Thursday, Trump could start striking before Thursday to send a message of superior power to the Iranian government to let them know that they cannot hide behind this. There's no way that this all is going to happen. So we could be looking at a crazy week. Now, in terms of a crazy week, let's talk about good stuff. First of all, Michael Saylor bought another 100, he buys 592 Bitcoins, making his 100th Bitcoin purchase right now. Buys it at 592 Bitcoin as the market struggles, which allows for his DCA to come down just a little bit further down. Because he's buying more, and he's buying more at 65,000-ish. So they now hold 53,000. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not him. He should have a lot more than that. 717,722 Bitcoin acquired for an average price of 76,000 per Bitcoin. By the way, he was doing this when it was he was buying it at 15,000 when it was trading at 20,000. Look, he's been DCAing his way through this entire thing, and here we are. And by the way, Satoshi Era whale dumped $750 million last night as Bitcoin hedge funds pull out billions in Bitcoin. Now, what does one have to do with the other? Nothing, but it was just a way to create a headline. On-chain data shows that Satoshi Whale dumped $750 million in Bitcoin after a 15-year silence. They transferred 11,300 tokens to exchange-linked addresses. This new transfer came as the Bitcoin price fell to 64,000 in the early Asian trading hours, its lowest level since February 6th. Satoshi Era is the period when the coin was first launched in 2009. So, massive Satoshi Whale is now out. By the way, it's a Satoshi Whale. So if anybody says, yeah, it's because it's a 4-year cycle, well, they didn't sell during the last 4-year cycle or the 4-year cycle before that or the 4-year cycle before that. They just wanted to make sure that they had plenty of cash on hand so that they could go buy gold, maybe silver, something like that. But shout out, they made $750 million. Next up, XRP sees largest realized losses since 2022. And what that means is realized losses are when you buy a stock or a crypto at a certain price and you sell at a loss. Now, we are at a historic level of realized losses for XRP. The last time it did this, it broke out 118% over the next 30 days. So we could be looking at, and there's going to be a video out, by the way, today at 1 p.m. on this channel talking about what we're talking about right now with this largest realized loss. So if you want another breakdown of it, it'll be available for you at 1 p.m. today. But history now points to this as a bullish price reversal opportunity in the markets. And one of the other things is the fear and greed index is down to 5 today, meaning that it is at what basically is an all-time low. All right, this is the lowest that it's ever been. It's back up to 6 right now on the 12-hour, but it was at 5 a little while ago. So massive moves to the downside right now. A lot of fear in the market, but guess what? Just like every other thing, we will overcome. We will get over it, and we will move on. In fact, if you look at the data from the Bitcoin returns position, and you look at it from right here, which is the monthly. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in a row of negative, and 6 out of 7. You've had this and this. We've never seen anything like this before, except when we saw something just like this before. Okay. Now, when we saw it, it was right here. And look how much downside momentum we had. Look how much downside momentum we had. That was just catastrophic. That was just, look, and this is, by the way, this is 6 months in a row, and 8 out of 9 months, you can see right there, there's a 20% rally, but right before that, massive outflow. Right before that, massive outflow. More a cycle of volatility than what than what we would normally say, but it exists, and we're watching it again playing out right now. And March could close, we could close March and still it would just be 6 months and it wouldn't be a longer period of time. So we've been here before. Now, when we were here before, that was in 2018, and look at the gains that we got over the next 5 months. First off, it started with 11%, 7%, 34, 52, 26. This is when it started to break out. Then we had a couple of sell in May and walk away kind of moments there. Then we went through the down times. And then we had another reversal, 30% in January. And then we had more gains, big gains, big gains. And we continued big gain, big gain, big gain, big gain, big gain. So it's all coming back around. Like, we're not doing something brand new here. We're just going through a historic cycle one more time again. So look for XRP to have a breakout. In fact, there are some people who have said that they expect $15 XRP by March 16. I am very confident that by March 16, we will see XRP at $15. And by the way, I don't think that's true. But until it doesn't happen, we're going to assume that there's a possibility. It's always a possibility. So we'll see what happens there. By the way, again, the Clarity Act any day now. The Clarity Act any day now. And that's going to change everything. Also, top 4 reasons why Bitcoin price will crash to 60K this week. Let's look at some of the reasons here. Massive exchange selling intensifies downtrend. A wave of institutional selling is happening. The exact reason why Bitcoin is dumping. This is not really all true, but this guy is, look, sometimes you say, well, this guy's, this guy's got a lot of followers or something like that. He must be smart. No. He's engagement farming, right? The exact reason why Bitcoin is dumping, Binance sold 53,875. That's true, but what he didn't point out, because because it doesn't suit his narrative, what he didn't tell you is that Binance bought that on October 10 to try to save the price of Bitcoin when it started to dump from 100,000. Coinbase did the same thing. So the only ones that matter are Wintermute, which we already knew was the bad guy, the Trump Insider, which, by the way, he's getting wrecked over and over again because it turns out that the Trump Insider, who sold a long time ago, don't forget that the Trump Insider that sold a long time ago made a pretty good amount of money, but since then, all of his trades have been losing. So is he really an insider, or is he a smart insider? I don't think so. Every once in a while, I think he gets some inside nods. Just my guess. And then BlackRock sold 11,317 Bitcoin. BlackRock doesn't buy and sell any Bitcoin except for institutional buyers. So this guy's a real dummy, but that's 4.5 billion dumped in 35 minutes, and they keep selling more. And I mean, that is a lot. That is a lot. So, but again, these Kraken sold 11,000. Duh, they sold 11,000 because they were buying it to stop the price from dumping, and they've got to get their money back at some point. So, not a lot of respect for this guy and his stupidity, but here we are. Fed's Chris Waller says support for March rate cut will depend on the jobs report. He was one of the 2 that voted for the new Fed rate cut. So now they're looking for, in a speech delivered in Washington, Waller indicated that he will support a rate cut if the incoming jobs report dents the idea of a turnaround in the labor market and points to continued weakness like last year. On the other hand, he stated that his outlook may be a bit more positive, and he could support a pause if the data support an improvement in the labor market along with progress towards their 2% inflation goal. So we could be watching and seeing this happen in real time. Now, we don't get any update until I think it's March 17. When is the next Fed meeting? March 17 and 18. Yeah, March 17 and 18 is when they have the meeting. So we'll know in 3 weeks whether or not we're going to get it, and that's going to be a volatile period of time. Let's get in real quick into the chat. Stefan, good morning to you. Crusader, good morning. J. Manuel, good morning. Roy, good morning. Derek, what is the Chicago Bears? Boo. Bull Run Rich says, yet you voted for him. Of course I did. It's still the best. It's still the best result for crypto. I mean, Roy says, let Trump work. Latama, good morning. Tales from the crypto. We are in a bear market. Time to DCA again. Keep buying. Keep buying. By the way, you never know when you're going to be at that bottom. So I don't know. I don't know if we get a bounce here or if we're heading down a little bit more. At this point, by the way, it should be noted, we are no longer, this is not just your traditional dump. This is a manipulation event that we're watching play out real time. And there are moments, like, for example, when Donald Trump, the president of peace, starts talking about bombing Iran and invading Venezuela and doing more drone strikes than any president in history. When we see all of those things happening, it creates nervousness and sentiment in the market that's not great. What we're looking for is stability. We're looking for some of that Joe Biden vibe. You know what I mean? Stability, where it doesn't look like we have a lunatic in charge, that more lunatics are saying, that's playing 4D chess. You know what I'm talking about. So let's hope that we get at least, and by the way, when I say all this kind of stuff, it's easy to dunk on Donald Trump right now because he is an emotional guy who just says dumb stuff every once in a while, hoping that you will just say like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. That you'll be that person. But the reality is that he's probably still, no matter what, the best president for this job. Okay? I think that he's on the right track. I just don't think anything is working right now, or at least anything that we see is working right now. So we're going to see even more. Kevin Sankey's in the house, always here listening, but don't always participate in chat. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. By the way, guys, hit the like button if you haven't already, and share me on all your social medias. That would be awesome. Anyway, and by the way, I just, look, the Chicago Bears thing was absolutely blowing up. So I've been putting a lot of effort into it. I just did it, my last video here. It's going to be a long form video. I've been putting out short form content. I've been putting out short form content, but I'm going into longer form content and it's starting to pay off. So again, I got one video has like 70,000 views. Another one has almost 50,000 views. It's been really good. Pink Panther says, should we buy more Dev? Will it go lower? Should you buy more Dev? Yes. Will it go lower? Probably yes. To be honest with you, I've had plenty of conversations with Tom. I've had plenty of conversations with team members and stuff like that for Dev, but I don't know when exactly that reversal announcement's going to be. Here's what I do know. Tom understands, and any moment, Pink Panther, I'm going to say this. Yes, you should buy more Dev. Yes, I think it's at 5 cents right now. I think 5 cents is a perfect spot to accumulate because I do think that a reversal is imminent in the market, which means that the pairing, which is Ethereum, is going to be preferable and it's going to drag the price upwards. But also we should recognize that the fact that Ethereum has been so down recently is part of the reason why Dev is also getting weighed upon. And more likely, or most importantly, it's not really Ethereum. It's still the Dev problem. The Dev problem is they haven't done their announcement. They haven't done all the little things that they were supposed to do. But look, we were told it was going to go to $5. It went to $5. Now is your opportunity to buy. Remember, when it went to 5 cents last time, it went there very, very quickly, and it immediately spiked back up to 13 cents. Now, the other thing was we had that seller out there with like 5 million Dev, and they're almost out. So, and by the way, remember the whole minting process, the whole fiasco. Remember during that whole quote unquote fiasco, they have stopped whatever it was they were doing before. Not the seller, not the one wallet that was doing the selling, but the remaining supply that was supposed to be, that Tom now has control of it. So that won't be continuing to happen. So that was an issue. And that issue seems to have been addressed and the concerns have been assuaged. So hopefully that means that we're in a good spot right now. So, but back to it, let's get into our crypto bubbles here. Looking at the one-day chart, Pepe TO actually had a breakout of 57,000. So shout out if you got into that. On the 1 to 100, you can really see it's just, this is on the one-day chart, by the way. You can see there's a few little bright spots right now. Pippin having a little bit of a run. You can see Hash, a little bit of a run. Not huge, but a little bit. Pulse continuing to dump, pump continuing to dump, hype continuing to dump. So we're not seeing a lot of positivity in the market, but that's going to be temporary. Bitcoin liquidations, again, looking at this, guys, the money is up top right now. There's no reason for the market to continue dumping other than manipulation. Manipulation, pure and simple. Now, the unfortunate part about manipulating the markets is it doesn't matter whether you've manipulated the market. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing on it. The manipulation of the market is going to happen no matter what. There's nothing that any of us can do about it. So we just need to recognize that it's happening, suck it up, and wait for a reversal. But there's a lot of liquidity. And by the way, look at this high leverage. Let's remove this. Go to high leverage. Look at all that high leverage liquidity sitting there right now. And then low is sitting in those ranges right now, and medium is sitting in those ranges right there. So look at that. So, and by the way, let's go. We can go to Bitcoin Perpetual. Yeah, there we go. This is on the 15-minute timer right now. So there's plenty of money sitting out there right now. Most of it sitting to the upside. So, you know, if the market makers really want to get in, it's the upside. It really is. So we'll see whether that bears out, though. Looking at the market overall, down $51 billion on the day after a nice little breakout over. And by the way, this huge dump last night happened in a few minutes. And then we had this kind of clawback here, clawback right to one of the previous dumps levels. And now we're let's draw a Fibonacci here and let's see what does it look like if we do the pivot here to the pivot here. We're already at the 0.45. We've bounced off of the 0.45 back to the 0.236. That means that most likely we're going to see this downward momentum right here and then a spring from here to a higher move, if in fact we're going to go up. And I don't know that to be the case, but that would be where you start clawing it back from. Now, if I look at it from a longer trend, I don't know for sure where we are. But again, this is what I would expect to see happen moving out here right now and looking at it on the 1 hour. It looks like, or looked like, we were in an uptrend. So right now we could be looking at that break. The problem with that is if we look at it from this top up here, we're still looking at the descending wedge. We need to break above 2.4 trillion. We need to break above 2.4 trillion. That is the confidence level. And then after that confidence level, then we have to kind of zoom out here and get an idea of like where would our next potential target zone be. And that next potential target zone after 2.4 is going to be 400 billion higher, right up here at 2.8 trillion. So those are the ranges right now that we're looking to play out. I think 2.54, which is going to be that range right there. We're going to look at 2.44. So there's plenty of it, but in general, 2.75, 2.8 trillion going to be that next spot in the event that we're ready for a move. Now, if we don't, then it's going to continue breaking down. And look, the trend line for this in the longer time frame, and we're not going to get this perfect, but we're going to get this pretty good. But that downtrend right there is still in play until it breaks. And when we're in a descending channel, it tends to break to the upside. So we're holding out hope that there's going to be an upside to break out to. But also, if you look at it from this context and we're zoomed out, you could be looking at this thing taking up until April if it follows that trend. So, you know, sometimes the trend is just not your friend, for lack of a better description. 24-hour DEX volumes is catastrophic, down to 5 billion, almost 4 billion. So from 12 to 15 to 16 billion, all the way down to 4 billion. This is, again, this is not a move away from anything. This is just a lack of engagement. And while we're talking about lack of engagement, guess what I'm seeing? Kalshi advertisements on TV, Polymarket advertisements all over the place. The only places that are thriving right now, gambling. That's where we are. That's where the market is. So let's pop this up here real quick. to one says, what about when the Bears leave for Indiana? Hoping so, because that location is a few miles down the street from me. So I am hoping that they move right over here. Tales from the Crypto says, what do you think about Bitcoin hitting 55? I mean, at this point, it's all possible. There's nothing off the table. 60,000 was the low so far. Let's see. If we were to zoom out right now and we were to look at, where is the next dump? That next dump looks like it's going to be right into this range right there where my cursor is, which is 56,600. Down here is 53,000. So somewhere in that range, yeah, I could see that. 60,000 really looks like a zone of, like, that's where you're going to put in the biggest fight. That's the big fight. Another big fight would be at 50,000. So, I mean, you don't know. And remember, again, this is all manipulation. You got manipulation in the market. Then that's shaking out the people who are using realized losses to lose money, thinking that, oh no, it's over. And I mean, I don't know what else to say other than, doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. But, to be honest with you, I don't know. We're all making guesses. If I look at the charts, I look at the RSI. The RSI tells me that we're due for a massive rally. We're due for a massive bounce. It's time. If I look at MACD, tells me the same thing. There's nothing different. I look at MACD right now. We're in the green, and we're still low over here, which means that we could have a long flow of inward. I mean, like, everything looks like we should be having a rally. Everything looks like we should be having a rally. This is where the bounce comes from. This is where the volatility. By the way, with the liquidity being sucked out and drained. And remember, the only people capable of doing this are market makers. Don't forget that. So this is not a situation in which we, the regular investors, are the ones doing this. It's the market makers who are doing this. There's no other person with the type of capital necessary to make this happen on a coordinated basis. So remember, it is the people that you trust that are doing it to you. So that's going to be the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys exponentially. You guys never know how much it is. But by the way, again, if you look at the Chicago Bears channel, I'm getting just I got to put in the work. So you'll still see crypto content. I'm not doing anything different. We're still doing crypto content. We're still rocking, if you will. But I mean, again, when you look at it right here, I've got almost 70,000 views on this video. I've got over 40,000 on this one, 20,000 on this one, 15,000 down here. Not including X, not including Instagram, which I've got millions of views right now. TikTok, same thing. Chicago Bears stuff for me has been blowing up. So you're going to see me doing a lot of work on the Chicago Bears over the next little while. And so if you want to support me, matter of fact, if any of you guys want to sign up, let's do this. I'm going to pop it into chat right now. And all right, there you go. There's a link from the Chicago Bears cast. That's me. You can sign up over there. Anyway, that's it. That's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in.